Married at First Sight, season 10, episode 27. Just how much you just don't like Nelly, like the way that you talk about her and your facial expressions and stuff. Like, Nelly's done printed out the PowerPoint presentation and given everybody like a copy. There's one for you, Paul. There's one for you, Mel. There's one for you, Charlene. She's there picking out baby clothes, and he's like, just put down the dress. Put down the 0 to 12 month dress. Put it down. Yeah. Leah was like, look, she's crazy basically. She's an absolute loon, and she's made up all these like cock-a-doodle stories in there. Kia's like, oh, already he's making the comparisons. You know, it's very different to his London place.
The ghetto.
He's taken off the blindfold, yeah, and he's just like, oh. Sorry, it's a cat cafe. Oh, what going, people, thems? So this is Married at First Sight, season 10, episode 27. 27? Not 28. I think it's 27. This one is the second bout of Homestays. So we don't see anything more with Nelly and Stephen, which I just have to just come back to that just for 1 second, yeah, because as I said, I don't know. Well, I thought the verification process was doing some kind of like, you know, checking out your, doing like a video verification of like your face and stuff to verify that it's you. And I do vaguely remember doing that for like my Tinder when I had it back, when I had my Tinder account. And I saw a TikTok of this woman, a commentator on Married at First Sight, and she said the same thing. She was like, there is a video verification that you do in order to verify that it's you. And my bestie said the same thing. It's like, bro, it was definitely him. And I'm like, obviously, I like to give a benefit of the doubt to some degree, because I'm just like, well, we don't know all of the facts, and quite frankly, we don't know for certain. Like, we don't know 100%. But Hinge, I don't even know how they do it on there, but my gut feeling is that it's him, personally. Like, to have this much smoke around your name, like with the previous girlfriend, and then the other girl, the baby mom's come out and she said something, and it's like, well, there's so much smoke around you. And also as well, yeah, which is probably the biggest indicator for me, is that you have got some kind of like just mean spirit, dude. I mean, I don't know, like, again, just from the things that we've seen on this TV show, which again, I'm trying to take with a pinch of salt, but like, unless you've actively like fallen into the role and been like, I'm going to lean into this, I'm going to be the Jafar of the series. Like, you know, it's not really that far a stretch to think that you would be on an app. Do you know what I mean? Like, from time that people said that you were out there talking about who you were talking to on that celebrity app thing, and the Glock 3000, because I forgot about that for a second. The fact that you were caught in all kinds of 4K doing that, and then just how dismissive and like just how much you just don't like Nelly, like the way that you talk about her and your facial expressions and stuff, like that's the face of someone that doesn't like somebody. Do you know what I mean? It's not that much of a stretch for me to believe that it's you. And in all intents and purposes, yeah, when people lie about all sorts, don't they? They lie about absolutely everything. It's not a stretch to me to think, boy, was a liar. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, that's just my opinion. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but like, I don't believe it. And I just think, what else is he gonna do to poor Nelly? Do you know what I mean? I know she's not easy. She's not. Do you know what I mean? But you know, I warrant anyone else to go through 3 bouts of trauma like she's been through, yeah, have the bravery and the courage to kind of admit that on public television, still put herself out there in the hope of like finding love. And you know, yeah, she's gonna be a bit needy, and yeah, okay, like, I probably couldn't cope with it either, but it doesn't mean that like she deserves the disdain, like, and the disrespect that he showed her. nasty. Very, very nasty, man. And I'm just failing at the moment to find, like, he's in the same kind of sin bin as Julia-Ruth for me. Like, I just don't have anything redeeming. Like, anyway. So just wanted to kind of touch back on that on the Stephen thing, because I still can't quite believe, yeah. That, and what's jokes as well. In the next episode, because when the flatmate, because I didn't even realize it was the flatmate that that matched with him, um or was it? Is that how it went? That it was the flatmate them, or someone sent her the screenshot of someone that had matched with him. But the fact that when she showed Nelly the picture, when they come to the final commitment ceremony, Nelly's done printed out the PowerPoint presentation and given everybody like a copy. There's one for you, Paul. There's one for you, Mel. There's one for you, Charlene. Like, wow. Yeah, big 76 points. We'll get that enlarged too. I mean, really bring it up and make it big. Like, wow. So yeah, that was kind of funny. But then the rest of the episode. So, you've got the other half of the homestay for Abigail and John. And obviously this is the mum that was all about, I don't want my daughter with some arrogant suit and they've got to get past me. I'm the bad guy. And actually she just wanted her daughter to be kind of taken care of. And like the fact that they love each other and stuff, and like they're all on board, and the dad's all happy, and he's like, oh, I can see a physical difference in my daughter and stuff. Like, this is what I mean. I said it in my last one, but I still, as much as the show is obviously geared towards drama, and there's so many elements to it that make me go, I don't know if he was real. Watching Abigail and John, like, I don't know, man. It's just like, aww. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah, that's really cool to see. Then you got Leisha and Reese. So they go to me. So again, this is a couple that I didn't even really give no time to initially. I was very much just like, they ain't gonna make it. Like, come on now. I didn't even realize they live so far apart. So Edinburgh and Essex. So they've obviously been getting on really well, and like, and it does seem as though he does like her. Which I didn't think we'd ever get to the point of that. But it seems like he does. But like, she's got no chill, man. She's got no chill. Like, obviously, he's made it clear that like my family needs to get on with you. Otherwise, if not, then it's curtains, really. But she's already picking out where all the plants are gonna be and like what photo. Like, part of me is like, she's got to be joking. There's no way that this could genuinely be how somebody who is in an experiment with someone who's already told you, yeah, just take off the acceleration a little piece, yeah, like just take your foot off the gas, yeah, and do an emergency stop, because what are you talking about? All these photos around the yacht, like, just, I'm starting to feel like I can't breathe, and it's not even me in the relationship. I'm claustrophobic, Darren. Listen, they don't get it. I'm claustrophobic. When they meet up with his mum, they're having a great time, and like they're explaining the connection and stuff, and then she says something about babies, about the babies and the baby names or something, and the mum's just like, whoa. I did like the flowers. I'm currently enjoying my starter, and you started talking about babies. And Reese is just like, I did not expect her to talk about no babies with my mum. And his mum's just like, yeah, okay, everything was lovely up until this point, so let me just put a pin in that. Why are you even talking about bringing little humans into any situation where this is still only weeks into an experiment? And like, again, I don't know whether it's just like a funny thing that she's like, oh, I'm gonna keep talking about the babies thing, because then when they go to Edinburgh, she's there picking out baby clothes, and he's like, just put down the dress, put down the 0 to 12-month dress, put it down, yeah, because no one's talking about no picnic around here, not right now. So, and it looks as though that when he then meets her family, that the impatience that she's got is kind of mirrored in, I don't know if that was her friend or her sister, because she's like, I'm just not getting the vibe that you're in it as much as she is, and that's fair enough. But that doesn't mean he has to be sitting there talking like, I'm gonna pick out some, like, what kind of patterns I want the crib to be, and like, what mobile I want around the cot and stuff. Like, dude, how about we just work on just liking each other for a prolonged period of time, and Leisha's like, I'm going to be pinging out these sprugs or something like that in the next year or something. I'm just like, nah, man, that's so much pressure. Like, I don't know where. So, again, I'm not really too sure where that's going to go. And I'm sure, like, in the next episode, tonight's episode, unnecessary drama is what he's put it at. But I'm still not over the butter. I wanted you to butter my toast. And the fact that I had to tell you to butter my toast is the reason that I got up out of the bedroom and slammed the door. That to me, like, I'm not someone to harbor over like small things, but to me, it's like if you can get there and say that over that, that's a red flag to me, because it says that you don't have any level of like proportionality in your head. You beefed over butter. This doesn't sound like the kind of person I want to have like a whole baby with, and have at least, like, worst case scenario, like it's like, a lifetime shackle to you when we have a child. But like best case scenario, it's at least the next 18 years, 2 decades of my life of having to deal with no. You beefed about the butter. I don't know about that. So, I don't know about them. Leah and Lee. So Leah goes to Lee's homestay in Essex as well, I guess, and they meet up with the friend, the one with the brown hair, who was there for in-laws week, and yeah, I get the vibe that the friend don't really like Leah. And what's funny is obviously they have had a great week and it's been really good for them. But as they're talking about the start of the week, with obviously the friend's forensic, as any friend would be, I want to know details. I want to know what happened and stuff. So they're kind of recounting it to her, and as they're doing that, it's obviously bringing up the elements of what they thought about. So Leah was like, "Look, she's crazy basically. She's an absolute loon, yeah. And she's made up all these like cock-a-doodle stories in there, yeah, and made them all like real to her. And then Lee's like, just to be clear, I didn't fabricate anything. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that's how I was left feeling. And she's like, yeah, but tell her the truth now. Tell her the truth now. Like, and it's almost like in Leah's head, she's okayed everything in terms of how they can move forward. In that, like, she hasn't done anything, but Lee has let her insecurities from her past kind of completely obscure what reality is saying basically. And I felt really sorry for Lee in that moment, because Lee was vulnerable enough with you to say, look, I probably have over exaggerated what the impact of these things were, or that or even allow my mind to create all these different scenarios, but they were based on something, and it was based on something which meant that like you hadn't, like that isn't a fault of Lee alone. Like that's also a fault of you. Like I think the reason that Lee was, well, in my opinion anyway, the reason that Lee was getting a backup, it's like you're now sat in front of my friend basically saying that I'm some crazy person like that's just out here just creating scenarios for no reason. But actually there was a scenario that you placed me in because you met someone that you didn't tell me who they were, didn't introduce me, and decided to stay out with them. So to me, that's all the ingredients of someone that really is, mugging me off. So let's not try and rewrite history that I just made up this whole scenario in my head. So I'm glad that Lee did stand the ground a little bit. Leah ends up kind of going to get drinks, like, but in a very kind of like, kind of way, in my opinion, anyway. And the friend's like, mate, this ain't the one. This is not the one. Sorry. And I can understand, because again, it'd be different if she could have gone, do you know what, like, yeah, I didn't introduce them, and it was kind of an oversight for me, because I should have thought really, oh, Lee would want to know who they are, and maybe she might feel a bit funny about the fact that like I'm just having this conversation and not really including her. Like, she could have had any bit of contrition, and she didn't. So I think Lee is now at the point where she's like, I don't know what I think about this. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them on the commitment ceremony. The whole Rebecca and Bailey thing, and it's almost like I have even got to this point and this conversation hasn't happened sooner, because it's all well and good saying that, oh, if we could have just stayed in the apartments, that would have been ideal. If we could have stayed in a little bubble, but ultimately, like, these are things that like, it doesn't, what is the point of falling in love with someone if fundamentally what you're saying is, I ain't ready to move and I'm not going to move, and they're also saying the same thing, I can't move, I've got a daughter. These things just don't seem to ever really work, because I don't think I would want to move away from my family. Personally, I wouldn't want to do it. But at the same time, like, depending on who it was and if they were my forever person, then maybe I would think about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I just don't see what they're going through the motions. And like when she's talking about, like he lives in a flat, in a very small flat above a chip shop, and when you look at her house and what she's built and stuff, like, mate, like who's leaving that for that? Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's no disrespect to him, and it's his, but it's like, well, what then? Where is this going then? Do you know what I mean? Where is this going? So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. And like I said, I saw a TikTok a bit earlier this week that made me think that Rebecca's on her own. So I don't even know whether they've even made it. But I can understand. And then with the mum, who's also just like, no, I want you to be happy, but I want you to be happy here. It's like, yo, I'm under pressure from all angles. So it looks as though, again, on the commitment ceremony, that they've been pushed to. The biggest question for them is whether or not David. So the one that caught my attention, which I was just like, what is happening here? So the Kia and David situation, right? So the series sweethearts have had really no issue. I think there's only been one other argument before about some jacket, and they're a bit frosty, and then they had makeup, and then everything was blessed. You know what I mean? Like, so we haven't seen any kind of like issues with them. So it starts off with going to Kia's homestay in London. So David is meeting his friends and stuff, and like I guess the biggest question for them is whether or not David can fit into Kia's lifestyle, because it sounds as though that Kia's lifestyle is very much champagne and brunches and darling and London. So David just like, listen, I'm a flight attendant, so like when I'm back, I want to chill. So it's not going to be like all the time. I'm going to have the energy to want to go do all these activities in London and drinking every weekend and yada, yada, yada. And Kia's just like, nah. It's not that all the time. The friends are like, it's not every night we come back at 5 a.m. Sometimes it's 3 a.m. And his brethren is like, no. Sometimes it's also like just some museums. Sometimes it's brunch, sans alcohol, like with a smoothie or coffee, like, some real balance there, which I think is cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, I still love to get mashed up with my friends and stuff. So, but obviously those things can't happen all the time because we've got responsibilities and stuff. So, but then when we do though, we like to party, and obviously his apartment's beautiful with all the glass and the Thames and all that kind of stuff, all that good bougie London stuff. Then Kia is going to stay with David in, I can't remember where it is, but it's a lot more low key. So his apartment, he flat shares, and Kia's like, already he's making the comparisons. It's very different to his London place, and it's very cozy, it's small.
The ghetto. I was shocked, honey. I was in tears almost. And it has a white refrigerator. I was like, oh, not a white refrigerator. Girl, please put your shoes on. Let's go find you a home, honey. Ooh, Lord.
When he made the comment about, it's very different to my, all glass, got a champagne fridge and all that kind of stuff. And I was a bit like, listen, this is your man, who you've been talking about, like, has been the perfect man for you, and the experts couldn't got any better. I would, even if there were certain things, like, I don't know, man, I would have just bit my tongue on those kind of things, really, because that's still his home, but whatever. So then, David, sorry, I don't know I'm laughing. No, I do know I'm laughing, actually. David plans a date for Kia, and this centers around the fact that, like, David has got 3 cats, who are his world. Like, he loves these cats, and I've got several friends of mine who are cat people. Well, pet people that got dogs or cats. I mean, or just pets in general. I've got a lot of friends who love their animals. I mean, they love their animals. And what I'm starting to see a lot more of, because when I was growing up, like, particularly in this country at least anyway, there wasn't really many black people that loved, like, dogs and cats and stuff. Like, you wouldn't find there were many of my family members or, like, friends of mine that, like, had dogs and cats, like, around me anyway. I don't know about everybody else, but just around the people I knew, it wasn't necessarily a thing that, like, a lot of black people had. But, like, there's a lot more now. like there are certain pages on Instagram that I follow, like black people and their pets and where, you know, the love of animals is on the rise, like, I mean, across the board. Because predominantly, like, a lot of my white friends love their animals, love their dogs, love their cats, right? So I'm not surprised, right, that David has cats, number one, and I'm not surprised that he loves his cats, number two. I am surprised that Kia, because I would have thought that he probably would have been a catty kind of person as well anyway. But I also completely understood when he was just like, this is just absolutely not fun for me. So he's taken off the blindfold, yeah, and he's just like, oh, sorry. Sorry, it's a cat cafe. Now, again, this is no offense to any of my cat lovers out there, because as I said, some of my best friends are cat. God, I sound like one of them. Some of my best friends are black. I'm just saying that I understand, yeah, that when it comes to cats and animals, some people have got an undying bond, like there was a guy that I was speaking to not too long ago, and like literally in the last week or two, and I noticed from their profile and stuff that they really liked his dog. Like his dog was everywhere. And as we were talking, because we were having some really good banter and stuff, and then we were talking, and he was like, right, "I'm gonna go to bed now." Sorry, me and the dog are bedding. So, me and the dog are bedding down, and I was like, sorry, are you in the bed? Are you in your bed with the dog? Like, and he's like, yeah, the dog's my best mate. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that do the exact same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, sleep with the dog, probably bathe with the dog, lick up the dog's mouth and all that. Listen, you do you, okay? But I made, obviously, the mistake of just being like, yeah, I can't imagine, like, laying down with all the dog hair in my bed and after done licking at his batty all, and no, man. But yo, cool. So I imagine that's a red flag for you. And he was like, yeah, a little bit. He was like, to be honest, he was like, you just need to get used to him. I must have had some. I must have sent. It was a voice note that I sent, and I must have had Beyonce playing in the background. And he was like, well, to be fair, touche. He's like, you know, your red flag is a dog in a bed. He's like, I can't stand Beyonce.
I don't really like Beyonce.
We haven't spoken against it. We have not spoken. I'm not even joking. There's been no further messages. Yeah. I don't like your dog in the bed. You don't like Queen Bee. Safe. It's all right. You know what I mean, this does not need to go any further. So I understand where Kia could have been coming from, and that this is not a surprise for me. Not so much like, you know, a surprise for me is diamonds, but just all those animals and all that fur. And all I keep thinking about is like what it must smell like in that cafe. So they're in the cafe now. And you know, you can just tell when someone's just not comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is just not my end. So David's obviously got an intention behind it, because he wants to know that, are you going to be cool with my cats? Do you know what I mean? So he's trying to see how the cats thing is, and Kia's already said, you know, I wish it was dogs, to be fair, but whatever. So he's in there, and David picks up a cat, and Kia's like, oh God, I thought you were going to put that on me. It just gets from bad to worse, and quite clearly, because David is the goal of this trip was to see how he would be with his own cats and stuff. So he really wants to get to the point of understanding whether Kia can cope with cats or not with cats. And I guess he must have asked too many cat related questions in the cattery in the dark with all the a puss around him, and Kia just loses it and just like, look, I don't understand as to why, yeah, we're having so many conversations about this cat, like we're gonna be like adopting some like 3-year-old child. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, who cares? And as a matter of fact, can I leave? Can I get up and go? I'm done. So he S's out, and then they start having this like massive argument where it results in Kia being this like, do you know what? Like, well, David's like, look, do you want to get a hotel? It's like, do you want to talk to me about this now and resolve this, or do you want to go and stop in a hotel somewhere? Like, what do you want to do? Kia's like, I just don't understand why we keep talking about the same said thing. Why are we talking about cats? Oh dear. So I understood, but what I couldn't understand is how they weren't able to resolve this. That's the thing I couldn't understand, because David ends up leaving, and he goes home, and then when we like revisit him in the morning, he's just like, I've got no idea where Kia is. He didn't come home last night. He's not come back to me. I felt abandoned. And then we like pan to Kia, and he's basically back in his glass apartment in London next to the Thames. And I was like, that's disgusting. Sorry, like I understand that it might have been a bit frustrating. I understand that, like, you know, cats might not be a thing, but he tried to do something nice. Like, it wasn't like he tried to do something like crazy bad, and something that's quite important to him, like, which it isn't, you know, his cats are important to him. Like, the thing that I've definitely learned the older I've gotten is that when it comes to animals and pets and stuff, like, it isn't, as someone that never grew up with pets, I don't have the same affinity or bond with an animal. Like, I did have a rabbit. Like, do you know what I mean? She got mauled by a fox, which is really sad. But you know, I still was like, but it's a rabbit. And I had a cat for a week. You know, a kitten, which I was like, oh my god, I begged for this kitten, and then I got the kitten, and the kitten kept trying to sleep in my head. I had locks at the time, and kept trying to sleep in my hair, and I was like, and my mum was very much like, oh, the cat, everything to do with the cat litter, the cat food, the cat tray, everything in your room. Can you imagine that? Like, no, it was terrible. So that it just had to go. They went to a very lovely home, by the way. But yeah, I've never had that affinity. So the point in that story is that, like, I can imagine for David, with all the things he's probably gone through and stuff, like, the kind of creature comforts, quite literally, that keep him comforted are his feline companions. Do you know what I mean? So they're important to him. And I guess what he's trying to say is, I kind of come with the cats. Do you know what I mean? It might not be that you need to come to a cat cafe every week, but you know, they are part of me. Like, they're gonna be here in my apartment. Like, I'm gonna, you know, how are you gonna be with that? So I think him trying to show that to Kia, and the fact that Kia was just so, as you said, overstimulated by being in this cat cafe and not being surrounded by diamonds and champagne. Like, I was just like, that is just so blinking and so selfish of you. Like, I get, and that's coming from me. Do you know what I mean? Like, that just deaded off a conversation because you sleep in the bed with the dog. So I understand about the animal thing. I do get it, but like, I still wouldn't make someone feel so bad. I definitely wouldn't let it escalate to a point where, like, we can't even talk about it, or that I might need to go and stop in a hotel, or that I'm gonna travel clean back down to London, and then have the goal to, like, I'm going to invite you to come here. So you're going to cut my homestay short, yeah, have me come down to London to come be in your glass tower, yeah, where we can sit and talk. And they did talk, and he did take accountability. He said he was sorry, and he's like, you know, I love you always, even if I don't like you all the time, and you know, I'm sorry that I made you feel that you were abandoned, and so I do. That's great. He did apologize, but for me, I was like, nah, man. Like, it looks as though at the commitment ceremony that everything's cool. But if someone had done that to me, it would take me a lot longer than that to get over it. Sorry, you've ruined the experience, and for what? Because I wanted to share something with you that was important to me. You know, and okay, maybe I got a little bit too, you know, over eager about it, because there's the signs I'm starting to get from you is that this is going to be a problem. So I'm probably starting to get nervous about it. So I'm probably digging a bit more, and you know, like I can understand that as well. But to all the dramatics and leaving, like, why? There's a cat cafe in Birmingham, actually, which I've never been to. And I'm assured by the people that love cats, it's a great time. But again, if you're not really an animal person, I can literally, like, you would not catch me eating nothing in that cafe. Sorry. You could assure me that to the most high about the food hygiene, and there's no hair in nothing. Like, I've been at people's houses when they've dug out the rabbit's ear with the tea towel, yeah, and then use the same tea towel to wipe out the cups. I don't want to be in that environment, like, at all. But I don't begrudge anyone that does. That's their business. But when it comes to relationships, I guess it can be a bit of a deal breaker, because it's like, well, actually, how involved do you want me to be in this surrogate, like, parenthood of your puss, you know? So again, I understand that frustration, but I think I would have found a way to deal with it differently. That didn't mean that, like, I had to, like, cut the weekend short and run back to London. I didn't really get that. And then obviously Ashley and Grace. So, you know, it's just always a difficult one with Ashley and Grace, yeah, because you know, the whole women are from Venus and men are from Mars, and just different languages. Like, sometimes I feel like this is like the perfect like epitome of that. If I'm really honest, and someone said, Luke, you know, gun to your head, whose camp would you be in more? I think I would pick Grace, and I think my bestie probably would say the same. It's not that I don't think that she has maybe like been maybe too overzealous in her interpretation of some things, maybe just based on like the conversations that we've heard. But when she was breaking it down to her friend and how she spoke about all those different instances, the nails, the dress, the asking him to kind of do some reflection and just not doing any of those things, like his ego, his sense of self, and the fact that everyone else sees all these different things about that person and stuff, like again, to me, it's a little bit like the Stephen thing, but not in as an insidious way, like, because Stephen is vile, like, again, my opinion, you know, fight yourself, whatever. That's my opinion. I think he's vile. Whereas Ashley isn't vile, but I think that he's got the same thing as the perception of him is all great, all amazing, and because other people haven't got to deal with any of the other stuff, like they only see the superfluous stuff that's like literally surface level, like, you know, I'm interacting with you whilst having a drink and a bants and stuff, like I'm not seeing the stuff whereby you're saying certain things which are either ignorant or misplaced. And again, the person that corrects it, it's a little bit similar, like some might say it's a bit of a stretch, but like it's a little bit similar to when someone says something that's like really ignorant to me as a black person, yeah, like I've got two choices. I can be the person that's ain't having it, like I'm not having that, like, do you know what I mean? You know what my parents went through, my grandparents went through, let me sit and correct you now. Or I can be like, I don't want to cause any problems. I don't want to be the person that's like, oh my god, here we go with the race card, da, 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 da. Like, and that can be a real battle for the person, because ultimately, like, it's a disrespect twice, isn't it? Like you've said something that's disrespectful, which some people might say, I'll just laugh it off. But at what point then does it not become a joke? Do you know what I mean? And actually, it's quite harmful. And actually, if I'm going to be in a relationship with you, surely you need to know how that makes me feel. And yeah, okay, you might call me wet, or you might call me, you know, what do they call people? Oh, you're such a snowflake or whatever. Like, you know, you can't handle anything. But at the same time, those are my feelings. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if we're going to be married forever, then it's important that you know what my feelings are, because if I don't tell you, like, I'm just going to become resentful. So I felt it's kind of like, if she doesn't highlight the things that he's saying, because he's like, you know, I literally have to keep watching what it is I'm saying. But if the things that you're saying are stupid, like, then actually it makes sense to call them out. And again, if you're happy to continue saying stupid things, then that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, then the union doesn't need to work any longer. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think it's fair. I think it's more than fair for him to say, look, I'm fatigued. I don't want to correct nothing else. I'm quite happy with who I am. My jokes land with the people that like find that funny. Cool. Not a problem. I am not the woman for you. I am not the woman for you. Like, cool then. I mean, that's not a problem. But if in the same breath you're saying that you want this to work with her, and then she says to you that, like, what you're saying didn't land very well there. So all I'm saying to you is just to think about what comes out your mouth. You're the only one that can be responsible for that. And you can kind of see how much it's kind of breaking her apart now, to be like, actually, am I going crazy? Like, is he this person? So, but like I said, I understand if he just wants to stay where, because I don't think what he's doing is necessarily malicious at all. But you know, maybe this is the first time that he's been made aware of how some of the things can land, and you know, that's not going to be for everybody, but you know, for someone else, it'd be great. So, and the fact that he took up sounds like he's done, and it sounds like she's done as well. So, you know, but it's a shame, man, because I really did ship them hard. I really did. Yeah, man. So let's see what happens tonight. But yeah, again, another juicy episode. The more I watch, though, the more I'm saying, like, I don't think I'm going to watch anymore. I really don't think I am. So I just keep seeing things online just about just how they keep setting up these people with these toxic people, and it's like, how do you not see these? Like, like, what kind of like psychoanalysis do you do on Steven to put him on the show? Like, I just don't, like what? And then to go and pair him with Nelly. Come on, Paul, man. You're sitting down there with this successful podcast, and this is the union you put together. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this, thought of this episode, and what you think, like, who's making its final vows, because at this stage, I I really don't know. I really don't. I can't see anybody apart from Abigail and John. Like, for the first time, I've now seen a crack in Kieran David, because that to me wasn't a great way to handle that problem, and I'm now not shipping it as hard as I was. See, Abigail and John, obviously Bailey, and to me Bailey and Rebecca are done because I don't see how it's going to go any better. He's not bringing Bluebell up to Liverpool, and she's not coming to live above the chip shop. So I don't see how that's gonna rock. April and Leo have been done, regardless of his mum's crying. Obviously Nelly and Stephen, he's already unhinged. Leah and Lee, I mean the best friend kind of, she has literally sent Lee all the way back, so I don't see that progressing no further. I think it's probably just Abigail and John, but I can't see anybody else. I really can't. So yeah, man. Let me know what your thoughts are anyway. If you did enjoy this, then do drop me a like and subscribe. That'd be amazing. Thank you very much. And if you do want access to my reactions before they come to YouTube, then please do head over to my Patreon, which is a great way to help support the channel, and it's a great way to connect with me more as well. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.